Alright, I'm going to do a little video here to show you how to fix the white areas around the sides of a picture that happen when you shoot a architecture building and which has some keystoning, and then you go in and remove the keystoning. When you do that and you don't provide enough excess space around the outside of the building, basically it tends to the keystoning correction crops into the building, and we need to rebuild corners of the building to make it look normal. So I'm starting with an image here, and we're going to try fixing it up. Now, the first thing I do with any image usually is I'm opening it I'm in Photoshop CS6. I'm going to make a copy of the background layer over in the layers palette, and I'm going to try to make a selection of this white excess area, and we could try some of the selection tools to see how effective that is. Let's try the magic wand. Go in and click on the white, and we should have had it set for contiguous, but it looks like that did a pretty decent selection. Let me just blow up the image and look. See if any areas that we didn't want got selected, and in fact it did an excellent job. The reason it did an excellent job is I had the tolerance for it set to 10 instead of the normal default 35. 35 would have spread it out and picked up some of the adjacent kind of cream colored white areas to go along with it. Okay. Alright, we have a selection. I'm going to go into select, come down to modify. We're going to expand the selection. We want to have some real pixels included in the edge of the selection. This is not a very large image, so I'm going to expand the selection by, let's say, only 5 pixels. All right, and you see what that does is it moves the marching ants just a little bit out, a little bit more into the actual image, so that we have some real pixels to deal with. Now I want to try filling in, so I'm going to use Edit Fill, and in the Fill dialog box we have a drop-down list, and we want to choose Content Aware for our fill, and just say OK. And you see it actually doesn't do a bad job. If I blow up our area a bit and look around to see our marching ants and see what it created, it did a pretty reasonable job. We need a little bit of a fix up here on the window, or the white trim around what would be a window. And over on this side, it actually did a pretty good job. Again, there's just a little bit right at the top that's a little misaligned. One could argue about the pattern down here in the paving stones in front of the temple. You notice that it sort of put a pattern in, but the pattern it put in doesn't exactly line up with the pattern that was there. And of course it created all of this in the foreground, the lower bottom part of the photo. Created it from scratch, and I guess one could, depending on how serious one is, leave that in and accept it, or try to, extend the current pavement that's behind it, extend that pattern out into the foreground. In my case, probably not worth screwing around with. Okay, so I'm going to accept what we have here. So I'm going to say select, deselect, get rid of the marching ants, and let's go in and do some minor touch-up here of what we need to do. Okay, so in this area right here, it basically is just this little area. And there's a bunch of ways we could do this. We could extend a selection down from along this edge where the white meets the sort of brownish orange. Extend that line down through the white down to the bottom, and then just clone some of the sandstone type material over onto that edge. We could, if we want, use the clone tool in mirror mode, horizontal mirror mode, to take material from the other side of the windowsill area and take that material and put it over here. That would work well, except that it would add the shadow. You can see from the angle of the sun, we're getting a shadow between the white and the sandstone on the inside, and that shadow doesn't really extend down on this side. So if we mirrored it over, it's doable, but it would exaggerate a shadow that probably really wasn't there. So in this case, the easiest way to do it would just be to do a selection coming down here. So to do that, I'm going to switch over to the polyagonal lasso tool, or polygonal, depending on your pronunciation. And the way this works is I'm going to put it right at the edge. I'm going to click, and I'm going to bring my, oops, let's try it again. I'm going to click right there. Boy, getting a lot of email today. Sorry about that. Okay, see, now we're extending out a line, and I'm just going to bring that line all the way down here and line it up at the bottom and do a single click there. Move horizontally over to the left edge of our picture, in fact going out of our picture. Click, bring it back up. And where the hell did I start this from? High enough up. I'm going to click right there, and I'm just going to hit enter. There it goes. And it brought it back to where we started the line, since I couldn't see where that was. Now what we've got is we've got a selection out in the brown area, and including this little bit of white that we need to clone over. And we're protecting the rest of the image because it's outside the selection. So we can simply clone into that. When I do cloning, I like to use a separate layer. So I'm going to create a new layer above the current layer. I'm going to get the clone tool. It's just right there. And the clone tool is not working. Come on, kick in. Wow. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to make sure up on top it says all layers and 100% flow, 100% opacity. I'm got the box checked for a line, and I'm using a soft brush. And you can see how soft a brush is if I hold down the, let's see, the Control key, the Alt key, and right click. You can see the red shows you that I have a soft brush about that size. I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller. Oops, not that small. A little bit smaller, and I go up all the way to make sure it's very soft. So that's the size of the brush. I hope you can see the circle with the plus sign in the middle. To do the cloning, I'm just going to go outside the area that we need to clone. In fact, I'm actually going to make the brush just a little bit bigger by hitting the square bracket keys on my keyboard. Yeah, that's good. Now let's come back one, make it one smaller, right there. Okay, so outside of the, out in the brown area, and I'm going to do a Alt click to take material, move it over, and put the material there. Just paint it down. Okay, and do another pass right along the edge of that selection, and that pretty much does a pretty good job. Okay, let me just do one little edge there. And that meets the pattern, does a pretty convincing job there. So we're going to select and deselect, turn the eye on and off on this top layer, and you can see what we did. All right, simple enough. Over on the other side, let's see, how kind of a job did we do there? Let's see, and blow it up a little bit. And come right up to the top. Now you see our picture's breaking up. This is a very low resolution image, and I shouldn't really be blowing it up this much. But when we did do the cloning, I made just a little bit of a funny edge there. Well, I think the easiest thing to do is, again, just take the clone tool and physically move it down a little bit. So again, I'm going to do a separate layer. I'm not going to bother protecting anything at this stage. Just take the clone tool, set the clone to, let's see, about there. Click, Alt-click to take material. Come down to where I want to put it, and I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. Trying to make the arch look like it's making an arch a little bit better. Do the same thing down here. I'm going to Alt-click right there. Come down and just bring it in a little bit. Paint it forward. Okay. Took a little too much. Going to do one Alt-click out here. Bring it in and just sort of sculpt it a little bit. To taste, as they say. All right. And to me, that's about as, yeah, that looks okay to me. All right. So that's all I'm going to do here. I was going to show you, and I would like to do it just to show you the tool that's present. At this point, I would declare this done, and I would simply flatten the layers and go from there. But for the moment, let me turn off the cloning effects. Okay, and go back to this stage. And I'm going to create a blank layer above this current layer. And let's zoom in over here again. And the way I wanted to fix this before was I wanted, in the earlier video type I had done for a class, is I basically wanted to take the material that's right here, this white edge of the opening, and basically just mirror it over onto this side. Now when I do that, it's going to mirror the shadow, which isn't going to be accurate in this lighting, but nevertheless, just to show you how the tool works. So to use this, we use the clone stamp again. So let's go get the clone tool. All right, and our conditions are still pretty good. 100% opacity, 100% flow. We've got the align box checked, and we're sampling all layers. And what we're going to do is go into the panel for the clone, which is called the clone source, which is this one right here. All right. And one of the neat things about the clone source, let me blow this up so we can see it. One of the nice things about it is there are two little boxes here. What this one does is it flips horizontally. So when we clone, it's like instead of, normally the way the clone tool works is you start with an X where you're starting from, or a cursor. You Alt-click there, then you go move a certain distance away in a certain direction away, and you click there, and then you click and hold down and start painting. And as you paint, it trails this plus sign where you took material from behind it, and it keeps the same distance and the same direction. So if I go to the right, it takes new material from the right. What this flip horizontal does for us is as I sample and I take the clone tool and move to where I want to put it, when I start going to the left with the cursor, it's going to start sampling material to the right, the mirror images. So instead of sampling it from the left side where we did the initial sampling, it's going to do it in the opposite side. So it's easier to probably show than it is to say. But this is the critical thing, and you see this is not turned on at the moment. If I just click right there, it turns that feature on. And so now when I come over here, and let's say I want to start taking from, I'm going to do it from right here. I can put my cursor so that the plus sign of the cursor is half on the white, half on the dark. Okay, in fact, I need to go high enough so I can get the right dimension. So I'm going to start right there. Hold down the clone tool and click right there. So that's where it's taking material from. I'm going to go over to its other side, which should be right there. Okay, and as I click, And I missed it by just a hair. Hang on. And, well, I did miss it. Let me try that again. Okay, we're going to get the Alt key. We're going to go right to there. And we're going to click. And I'm going to go over to where I want to put it, which is right there, and click. Okay, now I'm holding down the mouse at that point. So you see now as I start painting, it's taking material. See how neat that works? Coming down to that edge. So what it did when I did that is it took material from over here and moved that material over here. So if I wanted to duplicate this shadow that I have here, okay, all I have to do is come over to here. And I have not re-cloned, or I haven't done another alt click, so this alt click should still be lined up. So as I paint there, it should paint in that shadow and mimic what I'm seeing on the other side. Go up a little bit with my okay, and let me come down. Okay, and if I come down that center line, you know, my alignment's off just a little bit there, so you're going to have to live with that. Okay, but you can see, except for the fact that I missed it just a little on the top up here, you can see that this is a very useful technique in terms of cloning, that it takes material basically from over here, it flips it, does a mirror image of it, and puts it back over on this side. And that can be pretty effective at making this thing work. Now, how do I fix this little mess that I just made over here? All right, at this point, we're going to go back to that clone source panel. I'm going to turn that feature off because I just want to go back to doing regular rubber stamping cloning. Okay, and we're going to come over here and, well, I really need, I guess, to move that whole section. Could I have done that? Let's give this a try. I may be way out of line here, but let me turn that feature back on. Okay. And again, I still haven't clicked, so it may, yeah, okay. It's going to continue doing my paint job. There we go. Yeah. All right. And let's back it off. Okay. So basically not a bad job overall. Yeah. Let me go back over to that clone stamp and just turn that feature off because I'll never remember to do it later. All right. So that's okay. So that's our image basically fixed up in that method. And again, at that point, then just flatten the layers whenever you're happy. Flatten the image and discard the hidden layers since I turned those off. And then let's just resave the image. Just do a file save to save the image. And really, that's all there is to the technique. Just have to be a little careful when you're doing the cloning. Probably a little more accurate than I was. So, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll stop now.